Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Larry Bussell. I'm the chairman of the Manatee County Board of County Commissioners. County Administrator Ed Hunziker called me today to inform me of a potentially serious situation at Lake Manatee Dam. Erosion has occurred in the areas near the spillway gate at the dam, and without intervention, a significant rainfall event could compromise the dam. After learning of the situation from our private consultant, we are beginning to implement measures to address the erosion. While there's no cause for immediate alarm, we wanted to waste no time in notifying the public of the measures being taken. An important part of this issue will be communicating with the public, and this afternoon we are attempting to notify residents in the area of the spillway. We will continue to take steps to keep the public informed of all significant announcements as the dam is repaired. We are fortunate to learn of the situation during the dry season when we don't typically experience significant rain events. We have professional utilities staff with many years of experience who are focusing all their efforts on an expedited and permanent fix. I'm going to have our water treatment plant supervisor, Bruce McLeod, explain further details on the conditions of the dam and the steps being taken to repair it. Following Bruce, Deputy County Administrator Karen Wynn will give some additional information, and then we'll take a few time for a few comments, questions, and answers. Bruce?
Thank you, Chairman Bussell. I'm Bruce McLeod. I've been with the Utilities Department for 33 years. And this is about the Lake Manatee Dam. It's out east. It's east of I-75, about 8 miles. This is one of our primary water supply systems. And we found out yesterday, let me pull this over a little bit. We found out yesterday, we do annual inspections. We've done annual inspections on the dam by qualified engineers for the last 2-3 decades. As you know, the dam is about 50 years old, so it's getting toward the end of its service life. A couple years ago, we found a couple anomalies that we were a little bit concerned about, so we chose to do some supplemental dam inspection to go into a little bit more detail. And essentially what we've found is that during high releases, typically during the summer when we have storm events and heavy rainfall events, we open the gates that relieve the pressure on the lake and we send water downstream. What happens is the tailwater, or the water below the dam, starts to rise. That in itself is not the problem. Once that water starts to go down, it pulls soils from behind the dam and underneath the spillway. And that's what's happening. It works its way back to the dam. Now, the dam has a clay core, and that's the water stop. That's a water barrier. And what we're concerned about is maybe some of that core has been compromised a little bit. So what our engineers have recommended is that we certainly don't want any high tailwater or high water events on the downstream side. So what we're doing right now, we're starting to lower the lake, releasing a small amount of water so we don't create that high tailwater condition on the backside of the dam. We're going to bring the lake down to 38 feet above mean sea level. 40 foot above mean sea level is full. Our backup plan, if we do have a significant rainfall event, is we have what's called an emergency spillway that has a series of earthen plugs. That elevation rests at 38 foot also. So we would have front-end loaders that if we saw in a significant rainfall event, that we would be able to take those earthen plugs out and we would relieve the pressure on the dam and release that water through an alternate instead of through our primary, which would be right here, instead of the primary, because we don't want to create that condition that it pulls more soil out. The good news is that there's a relatively quick fix to this, and we're in the dry season. Our engineers are hard at work on it right now, and they think that we have to do a little bit more investigation. What we're going to do is we're going to look into the core to see where the compromised soils may be, and that's going to take 5 to 7 days. Once we identify the critical areas, we can jet concrete down in there. There's a technique that allows us to do that. We can fix the critical areas, we think, in 30 to 45 days and have the whole thing repaired in about 60 to 70 days. So that's the good news. We have a window of opportunity, and I think we're fortunate that we found it when we did, and we think we have a pretty quick fix for it. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Assistant County Administrator Karen Wynn.
Thank you, Bruce. As the chairman said, there is no crisis at this time. We just wanted to get out to the public what is going on, what is happening in our community, and let everyone know what the situation is. We have a team of professionals thoroughly engaged in this process who are taking care in every opportunity to mitigate the problem that we're experiencing. We do want to offer the opportunity to our citizens to ensure that they have the opportunity to sign up for emergency alerts. So if something were to happen in that situation, they would have the immediate notification. So to that end, if they would go to www.mymanatee.org/alert, they can sign up with their name, their address, their phone number, any emergency contact information. So in the event of an actual situation that might occur, they will have immediate notification. As I said, we're very comfortable that the professionals who are working on this are coming up with good solutions. The timing is perfect for us to be able to mitigate this problem, and we're really proud of our community stepping up. We would be happy to entertain any questions that you might have at this time, with the understanding that at this point we have a lot of questions still and are trying to come up with those answers, and we'll continue to provide updates as we go forward. Any questions? Sir?
Bruce, I guess this is more of a question for you, I guess, but had the problem not been addressed, what would happen if there was a lot of rainfall? What would happen to the homes along the Manatee River in a worst-case scenario?
The worst case scenario, there's a potential for failure, which would mean that there would be a breach in the dam and water would start to spill out. It takes quite a while. It would take a while for that to erode, but it could cause some potential flooding issues downstream, our downstream residents.
Did you measure that in gallons? How many gallons go through? A few seconds, every few minutes, or how's that?
I don't have those numbers off the top of my head.
You mentioned this should be a fairly easy and quick fix. People downstream, do they need to have any concerns with the stability of the dam itself as it stands right now? I know the commissioner said that they were going through letting people know what was going on.
Right. Yes, I've spoken with our critical downstream residents earlier today, and they're aware of the situation. And we are also doing a modeling effort that we started in the summer to identify areas that would be inundated in case there was a problem with the dam. And we're close to finishing that up, and that will identify the homes that are at risk. And then we're hoping that we can put it on some kind of call situation where we could tell them, you know, you have 8 hours to evacuate or whatever their situation is.
Okay.
Who are these critical residents? Which areas?
Immediately downstream of the dam.
How many are there?
There's about 18 that we call routinely when if we have a significant rainfall event or we have a tropical storm coming in. We let them know that there's a potential for a high release, and if you're in a low-lying area, then you need to move your stuff to higher ground, your cars and that sort of stuff.
What type of time frame would they have in the worst-case scenario, do you think?
With this type of situation, right now, the initial model is saying there's about 2.5 hours for it to rise 6 inches at Rye Bridge.
Any effect to the drinking water?
No, fortunately, we have the East County well field, and we have some agreements with other counties, so we feel that if we lost that supply or if the lake supply was compromised, that we'd be okay. You know, we may have to go to more severe conservation methods and that sort of. We'd have to do some things, but you know, we think we're okay.
You may have mentioned it. Forgive me if you have.
The lifespan of the dam's just about up at this point anyway. Will work and reinforcement this extensive pull that out a little bit?
Yeah, in fact, our engineers told us yesterday that with this fix, we're good for another 50 years.
How much is this going to cost?
Not sure at this point. We've heard some numbers, but it's not outrageous what we've heard.
Ballpark?
But 3, 6 million, somewhere in that. It kind of depends on what we find with this core work that we're going to start on Tuesday. We're going to do some additional core work.
What's the time frame that you're looking at for this fix? What's that
we want to get everything done within 70 days. You know, we want to get it done before the start of the rainy season. And really, if we concentrate on the worst areas, that buys us more time, because we can work in the rainy season, but we want to make sure that we shore up the critical areas so that we can use the service spillway.
Is there any work going to be done over the weekend, and if not, is there any reason for concern?
Yeah, our engineers are working on it. They're going to work through the weekend on it, developing a plan. And we're waiting to hear back from the engineers. We're going to do heightened visual observations with our employees at the dam.
Just how pleased are you that you caught this sooner than later?
Pardon me?
How pleased are you that you caught this issue sooner than later?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
How pleased are you that you guys
Oh.
caught this issue sooner than later?
Oh, yeah, this is great. This is a great opportunity to fix it. We're really happy that we found it. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't want to be finding this in the rainy season because then you're going to have difficulty in how you're going to release the water. So we have a way to release the water so we don't have to use that service spillway and get those high tailwater conditions that are contributing to the problem.
Just so I'm clear, so the water is kind of eroding the backside of the dam, is that correct?
Right.
And the areas that were located, how far did that impede into the earthen dam? Are we talking, did it get halfway through, a quarter of the way through?
We're not quite sure of that, but we think it may be close to the core, and maybe there's some slight areas in the core that it's actually moving through a little bit. We're not quite sure on that. But it's not surface erosion now. It's erosion that's happening that you can't see. It's happening underneath the spillway, and yeah.
To that end, the fact that you can't see it, is it possible, I mean, have you guys considered the possibility that it could be, there could be more problems that you just don't know about right now, that you just can't see, that you may have to deal with as you get further into this process?
Yeah, of course that's possible, but our consultants went back to when the dam was built, and essentially they put a puzzle together and came up with what they think is going on, and we think we have it under control, but we want to do some additional investigative work to make sure that we have all of our potentially compromised areas are indicated.
Will you guys also look at the spillway and the gates and make sure that's all operational and there's no...
Yeah, no, we do that as part of our routine dam inspection every year, and we do that every year. We put a stop log in, calibrate the gates, make sure what it pivots on are in good shape, and make sure we don't have microbiological corrosion going on. So we do a pretty extensive inspection every year on that.
Was this supplemental inspection that detected this actually done yesterday?
No, it's been ongoing for, I don't know, maybe a month and a half.
So at what point during that month and a half did they actually detect the erosion? Yesterday or prior?
We were notified of preliminary results maybe a week ago, but then yesterday is when they finalized their, it really wasn't a report, it's more of an agenda. And in fact, we told them, said, don't worry about the report at this point, let's get the fix done, and then we'll worry about getting a report on it later.
I just want to clarify, so you said there were, that you do these annual inspections, and over the last, I guess, couple of years, correct me if I'm wrong, you found some anomalies. Can you go into a little bit more detail about what those were and kind of why that started to raise some flags?
Yep. We saw, in one area in particular, we saw some soil loss, and again, this is going on underneath subsurface, but what happens is that surface will slump a little bit, and because it's being washed away underneath it. And we saw a depression, particularly on the north side of our downstream, right in that area right there. And so then we went in and we did cores on that, and we realized that there were some loose soils down there, and it should be compacted, and it wasn't compacted. No. And that's an indication that it's being eroded. Any other questions? Okay, Karen, would you like to say anything, wrap it up?
Again, we really appreciate you coming out. We wanted to get ahead of this and make sure that everyone understood what the situation was, that it isn't a current crisis, and it's something that we're really taking a proactive approach on. We'll continue to provide you information as it comes forward, If our citizens have questions or concerns, we will have information on the mymanatee.org website, providing all of the most current updates. We certainly want to make sure that everyone is comfortable with where we're going with this, but we feel very confident that we have the right professionals on the job that are making a difference here. So thank you again for taking your time to be here today, and we will keep you informed.